from a product perspective, you spoke to our mutual friend at Apple. Shout out to Patrick.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
what was that conversation like? Because this sort of Google has the maps. Apple also obviously has the ecosystem.
Right.
Tons of billions of install users. What was that conversation like with the sort of the big tech competition aspect of that, right? Because if people just look at this from an audience perspective, that parents want to track how their kids doing and stuff.
Yeah.
That is obviously a product. There's a product marketplace fit, right? There is
Yeah.
a need for that, just like Ring cameras, right? People need that for their home security. So, what was that conversation like with, let's say, with our mutual friend at Apple, and when you did the sort of the investigative journalism part of the work
Right.
On the product? What was the feedback like?
So talking to our friend, I mean, great to have Patrick as a friend. Shout out to Patrick.
Yep.
He's amazing.
Yep.
So from Columbia's curriculum standpoint, they often teaches you what is a value-added research, is that these are the researches that are not commonly available to the public, right? If you just read the expert transcripts, that's table stakes now.
Yep.
It's third bridge alpha sense. And you want to do some primary research that only you get the information to, and that presents itself as somewhat of an information edge. Often it's really hard to get that nowadays. And talking to Patrick was great because I was able to hear from his standpoint how Apple approaches it. And the call really helps me understand what are Apple's concern and why they have not come into the space. Because I thought about using that as my primary thesis, but that is more of a prediction than observation. And Patrick's answers helped me understand that, is that Apple will not come into the space due to privacy concerns. And Apple is just really careful about getting into that. And if they have an app that are getting the data from Apple and then selling ads on their behalf, they would rather take the money from the third-party app, right? Why would Apple do that? It just presents a legal risk for them. So for me, that was good understanding of why big tech won't come in and why it's a weak thesis to short the stock.
Sure.
Yeah. And for me, the more imminent of a risk is, for example, in Texas, the AG Ken Paxton has been settling those large lawsuits in the $1 billion with Google and Meta for monetizing on the geolocation data of Texans.
Yep.
And for me, that's a more imminent risk. And coming from an economic consulting background, I can see how these legal and class action lawsuits can actually hurt the business, and not because how much of a settlement they're gonna pay. Like if we just think how many Texans there are, about 38 million, and then the $1 billion, like each user will get like 200 or so, and if you times that with what Life360's users have in the penetration rate, you can somewhat get a approximate dollar that they have to pay in their reserve, as a liability reserve. However, more importantly, this could stop Life360 from expanding on their ad and data partnership business. If they see the legal risk, they won't progress as aggressively. Then that growth rate will innately
That tapers on top line growth.
Exactly. It's just being curtailed.
Yep.
And in that case, it's just not a growth stock anymore. You cannot view it as at the growth stock at 40%. And also there's a huge difference between a stock that's growing at 40% a year, 25% a year, and 10% a year. You pay variously different prices, multiples on that. So once
Because that terminal DCF is different.
Exactly.
For us, long, yep.
Right. The terminal value, and also if you really bake in the PE multiple, each PE multiple will indicate a different growth rate for a X number of years. If that runway is shorter, that multiple is lower.
Yep.
Right.
That's right.
And therefore, if you view the business in a different lens, then it should not be valued where it's at, and which is 400 million and 7 billion market cap. That's what's 13, 15 times sales. That
So the latest annual, just to get the numbers, the latest annual revenue number was around 400 million.
Yeah.
And then at the time, the company was valued at 7 billion market cap.
Yeah.
Got it.